Right now, somewhere in your brain, a 2 million-year-old program is running. It was written before language, before fire, before civilization, and it is telling you to eat sugar. Not because you're weak, not because you lack discipline, because you are a supremely well-designed survival machine operating in an environment it was never built for. That is the story of sugar, and it is stranger and darker than most people realize. Let's start with what sugar actually does inside your brain. When you eat something sweet, your taste receptors send a signal to your brainstem. That signal travels to the nucleus accompanies the brain's reward center. Dopamine floods the area. The same dopamine that gets released when you fall in love. The same dopamine that gets released by cocaine. That is not a metaphor. That is neuroscience. In 2007, researcher Magalie Lenoir at the University of Bordeaux ran an experiment with rats. The rats were given a choice. On one side, cocaine, a drug they were already addicted to. On the other side, intensely sweet water. 94% of the rats chose the sugar water over the cocaine every time. Lenoir's conclusion was precise and alarming. Intense sweetness, she wrote, surpasses cocaine reward in the rat model. The sugar response in the brain is, in measurable terms, more powerful than one of the most addictive substances humans have ever synthesized. Now you need to understand why evolution built this. For most of human history, sweet meant safe. Ripe fruit is sweet. Breast milk is sweet. Honey, one of the most calorie-dense foods in nature, is intensely sweet. If something tasted sweet to your ancestor, it almost certainly wasn't poisonous. It was energy. And energy, for most of human history, was the scarcest and most valuable thing in existence. Your brain learned to treat sweetness as a signal for survival. It learned to chase it, to remember where it came from, to feel good when it found it. That reward system kept your ancestors alive through famines, through migrations, through hundreds of thousands of years of genuine scarcity. And then, in approximately 1700, everything changed. That was when industrialized sugar production began transforming the Western diet. Before that, the average English person consumed roughly 2 pounds of sugar per year. Today, the average American consumes approximately 57 pounds of added sugar per year. Some estimates place it higher. Your brain is running software designed for 2 pounds a year. It is now being flooded with 57. That mismatched ancient reward system meets industrial food supply is one of the most significant health crises in human history. And it was engineered. In 1965, a researcher named John Hickson, working for the Sugar Research Foundation, a lobby group funded by the sugar industry, commissioned a review of existing research on sugar, fat, and heart disease. The review, published in the New England Journal of Medicine in 1967, concluded that fat was the dietary culprit behind heart disease, not sugar. What the review didn't mention was that Hickson had specifically selected the studies included. Studies that implicated sugar were excluded. Studies that implicated fat were emphasized. Documents uncovered by researchers at the University of California, San Francisco in 2016 revealed the full picture. The sugar industry had paid scientists in today's money, roughly $50,000, to shape the scientific conversation. For decades, nutritional policy across the Western world pointed at fat. Grocery stores filled with low-fat products. Diet culture demonized butter and embraced sugar. And rates of obesity, type 2 diabetes, and metabolic disease climbed steadily upward. Here is what the current science actually says about sugar in the brain. Chronic high sugar consumption does 3 things neurologically. First, it progressively desensitizes your dopamine receptors. The same amount of sugar produces less reward over time, so you need more to feel the same effect. This is the clinical definition of tolerance, the same mechanism that drives drug addiction. Second, it elevates baseline cortisol. Sugar consumption triggers an insulin spike, followed by a blood sugar crash. That crash activates the body's stress response. You feel anxious, irritable, unfocused until you eat sugar again. The cycle is biological. It is not a character flaw. Third, animal studies have found that sugar withdrawal produces measurable anxiety and physical symptoms similar to opioid withdrawal. The brain, accustomed to the dopamine flood, registers its absence as a genuine deprivation. You are not craving sugar because you are weak. You are craving sugar because your brain built a reward system so powerful that an entire industry reverse engineered it to sell you product. So what do you actually do with this? The research points to 3 things. First, understand that the craving is not you. It is a system, and you can change the inputs to a system without fighting it directly. Remove the sugar from your environment before the craving arrives, not during it. The decision made at the grocery store is easier than the decision made at midnight staring at the cabinet. Second, the craving peaks and passes. Studies show that sugar cravings typically peak within 20 minutes and then diminish if not acted on. That is the window. Knowing it exists changes the experience of being inside it. Third, the palate recalibrates. People who significantly reduce sugar intake for a period of 3 to 4 weeks consistently report that previously enjoyed foods taste overwhelmingly sweet, sometimes unpleasantly so. The system adjusts downward when the flood stops. You are not fighting your nature when you reduce sugar. You are returning your brain to its factory settings. The 2 million-year-old program was designed for a world where sweetness was rare and precious, and finding it meant survival. You live in a world where it is everywhere. That is not your fault, but it is your problem to solve, and now you know what you're actually solving.